And we're back with Melissa Mayo of the Food Network.
TV star, author, inspirational speaker. Melissa, you live somewhere
and
in
our
California.
favorite African American.
I know. I wish there are more African American than a lot of people here.
That's funny. That's funny. I want to talk a little bit about Hollywood, right? What's the tone and temperament of Hollywood, and how much pro-Israel support is there? I mean, we there's a couple of the A-listers, whether it's Michael Douglas or it's Deborah Messing, or there's a few others who have been very vocal. Well, others I think were very vocal around October 7th, but have since sort of been muted. What's the mood in Hollywood in terms of the anti-Semitism that's there, and how prevalent is it outside, let's say, the UCLA campus?
Look, Beverly Hills, bless Beverly Hills, the city of Beverly Hills has an incredible mayor, Lily, and she actually has she has been very pro-Israel from the get-go. She's had the police station lit up. She has been very, very vocal supporting Israel, had flag demonstrations. But I have to tell you, I am really disappointed in Hollywood in general. I think that people are too afraid of being canceled. I have to be honest, if I'm going to be canceled, I'm going to be canceled for speaking up. And I don't know why they're so afraid. I shifted my platform when October 7th happened. I said, you've got a lot of people following you. And I have to tell people listening now, it doesn't matter if you have 1 follower or 1 million, you need to use your voice. But I actually picked up like 8,000 followers from switching to this pro-Israel message. So I don't know why everybody is so afraid of being canceled. I really think they have big platforms, they have a lot of influence, and they should be speaking up. I think their grandparents and their ancestors would be ashamed at them. They would be ashamed to watch 6 million of us being marched into gas chambers, over 1 million of them, Jewish children. And there's not a Jew that has not heard a Holocaust survivor speak. How can you have a platform and stay silent? It's as if you are condoning it. Your voice matters. Your voice matters.
Isn't it just, to me?
It's deafening. The silence is deafening. It's deafening.
To me, just by the nature, like if you feel like you have to be silent and be afraid to speak up for like in support of your people, like shouldn't that tell you something is wrong? But
Ericka, it's not just support of your people; it's in support of humanity. I mean, whether you're Jewish or whether you're Christian, and or frankly even Muslim, a certain part of the Muslim population, you're talking about humanity. You're talking about human decency. Part of the problem is been we have now been so conditioned. I would argue it started with Obama. I mean, where I am on that. And Melissa, what we call it is the 3 Ds, right? Demagogue, demonize, and divide, right? Divide the country, make them scared to speak up. We went from political correctness, death by political correctness, from safe spaces to where you can't say things to offend anybody, to safe campuses, to safe speech where you can't say anything. And therefore, people are now conditioned to be fearful and to be silent. So, Ericka, to your point.
What is this? It's like a cancel culture. What?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone is so afraid of being cancelled, and now you've got the Prime Minister in the UK saying that they actually will arrest you. They'll come to America to arrest you if you speak out on social media. Where do they have the time and the resources for this? And what I find is just a suck on humanity is people aren't contributing. They're living off the systems. And hard-paying taxpayers, their money is being sent to our enemies. I know people always say, well, there's a big deal that we just gave $3 billion to Israel. It's not free money. First off, Israel has to pay for those weapons, okay? They have to pay for them, and they have to reinvest the money back in American businesses. Number two, Israel is inventing technology like the Iron Dome, which America is going to use to save themselves. There are advances in military and weaponry, that have come from Israel that will protect the West. You're giving us money to research and technology that's going to help you defend yourself. I mean,
But
it's not like
but we don't want to defend the West, right? Because the West is terrible. We need to tear it down, and
Well, the West
be
is a colonial power.
unburdened by what has
Right.
been.
Well, I have to say, I'm an American citizen. I'm very proud to be an American citizen. I mean, I grew up in South Africa, but I love this country. And to see their flags being burnt and chanting death to America, I mean, put them on a plane and send them back to where they came from.
Melissa,
and another thing as well is Palestine is the only refugee country in the world where you can hand your refugee status down from generation to generation. Everywhere else in the world, you're a refugee. And when you get settled in a new place and you get your home and you're no longer homeless and you've been absorbed, you're not a refugee anymore. I mean, you've got the Hadid family who probably haven't spent a day in Gaza. I mean, the way they dress, they would be killed if they went there. But everyone is a Palestinian refugee. The genocide has happened in the Middle East and throughout the world, where the Jews were forced out of their ancestral homeland and they were sent out and they were kicked out.
There's
that's okay.
Yeah,
but that's okay. It's about the Jews.
Because
it's okay.
But you see, that double standard breaks my heart, because for the past week I've been combing the news looking for articles about what's going on in Bangladesh, looking for articles, and there's nothing. It's like crickets. It's okay to murder people as long as,
as long as they're Jews or Christians.
That's it.
And as long as the Jews aren't defending themselves, because everyone's entitled to self-defense except the Jews.
And I think that the big problem has been to take God out of the system, because, I saw France going this way and the UK going this way a long time ago. I remember going and seeing the landscape of Paris and thinking, this is not the Paris I visited. And I have a house in Italy. And 4 years ago, when the prime minister came in, everyone said, well, she's with the Mussolini party and she's going to be anti the Jew and blah, blah, blah. And she said, I'm a very good friends with Bibi. I'm a supporter of the Likud party. But you know what she said? Hell no. Closing our borders. You keep moving. You keep arriving on our shores with refugees. I'm not giving you the benefits that Germany and the Dole and France and all these places. Just keep moving through. And as a result of her closing her borders, and she said, I'm not doing the whole woke thing. There's a man and there's a woman and there's God and there's a family. And she's like, we're not saying we don't like homosexual people. We do. You can practice whatever sexual preference you want, but we're not changing like what it is to be a family. And she just kept them moving through. And as a result, she's probably that's the only country right now in Europe that stands a chance.
Mm. Well, and it's interesting listening to you talk and thinking about what we're seeing with the mass migration of Muslims out of Africa and the Middle East, whether it's to Europe or America. And it's almost, dare I say, like the Crusades, just without the guns yet.
Yet.
But you say yes, and there are plans the Russians are already making plans to take over Sudan. And what I don't understand is, our enemies were broke. They were on their knees. When you have Russia and China standing with the Palestinians, you have to question yourself. We are the West. We are free. These people who left the countries of their origin left because they were being persecuted. They came to the West for a better life. They left because they were segregated, and as women, they had no rights. And then you come to the West, you're given all the opportunities, and I can tell you America has given me so many opportunities. And then I wanted to convert the country I'm living into the one I left. Why didn't you just stay there?
It's not logical. It's a religious war. That's what this is. Look, wokeism is just the current manifestation of an old religion made new. You know that, Melissa.
Yeah.
Right. It's an age-old religion, and it's noted by its zealotry and intolerance. And I tell people they don't understand Iran, and I said, you can know more reason with a mullah in Iran than you can, a space alien, right? Because they don't have the same frame of reference. They don't have the same values. They don't value life the same way. And it is a clash of cultures, and only one culture is going to win this.
Well,
one way or the
they're
other.
all taught that, to martyr yourself is the way you end up with your 72 virgins in heaven. I mean, whereas we want to protect our children and we want to keep them safe and we want to educate them, they glorify the killing. I mean, you've got mothers celebrating that their children are dying. I mean, the way I was raised, and I have to tell you, some of the most God-fearing people and the nicest people I know are my Catholic friends in Italy. They are the nicest, most God-fearing people, really. But the way I was raised, there are 10 commandments, and there are basic rules. Don't kill, don't steal, don't lie, don't cheat, don't be jealous of your neighbor, don't, covet their possessions. At the end of the day, these are principles of family and God. Respect God, remember the Sabbath. I mean, they keep it's the Saturday people, the Sunday people. It's only in Islam that there is this absolute lack of respect for life. I believe the only entity, the only source that's entitled to take life is God. We are defending ourselves. We didn't ask for this war. We didn't want this war. And I love what Douglas Murray says. He says, Israel is the only country in this world not allowed to win a war. So you pick a war with us, you start the war, and then the second you start losing, you cry. You pick the war.
Yep. So
and we kept giving away land and giving away land. You know why they say the river to the sea? It's because actually in the Torah, the river is mentioned. But the river that God gifted the people in the Bible is actually the Euphrates River.
That's right.
The sea. If you look at it on the map, the whole Middle East pretty much is the land that God gifted the Jewish people. And we have got the sliver of land that's smaller than the Kruger National Park. You can drive across some parts of Israel in 20 minutes. You can drive up and down Israel in a day. It's got all diverse climates. It is rich. It has contributed so much to the world, and the amount of philanthropy that the Jewish people have done, not for fellow Jews, for humanity. I mean, I was in New York recently, and there's a whole section of New York where the Rockefeller gave a massive amount of land, and all those hospitals are, were gifted and built and donated by Jews. And we don't turn away treatment. Some of the kids that were taken into Gaza, into the Strip, used to go backwards and forwards, bringing Palestinians into Israel to be treated. I mean, the head of Hamas himself received treatment in an Israeli hospital. We are not, our religion is not one where we are permitted to take life. We're just not. So, to call us baby killers, we're doing everything we can. If Israel really wanted to minimize this war, they would have dropped a carpet bomb day one, and the war would have been over. They have the capabilities to have leveled Gaza to ash. It's not. Jewish people love humanity. We respect all religions. And as I say, as a Jew, I've read Lao Tzu and the Tao Te Ching, and I've read about the work of, Mother Teresa, and the work of St. Francis. I respect all religions. Every human being breathing, inhaling and exhaling, is God's favorite child. And people always say, well, you say you're the chosen people. No, there's a big difference. We were chosen to be a light to the nations. We were chosen to show the other nations the way back to the light. But we weren't chosen. God doesn't love me any more than he loves the Catholic or the Buddhist or the Hindu. He loves every one of his children, and that is by virtue of the fact we're inhaling and exhaling. When he has no more use for us, we will stop breathing. But he's the only one allowed to take life.
Melissa, as much as it pains me, we have to go to break. You are a fire hose of positivity. And I am thrilled to have you not only on the show, but ladies and gentlemen, she is going to be one of the speakers. She has graciously consented at Israel Appreciation Day on September 18th. And Melissa, your positivity flows through all of you, and the fight that I hear from you is what I think is sorely missing amongst, let's call it, our brethren in the Jewish community, who for the longest time have been the supporters of this whole social justice movements, plural, that really have been anti-Semitic to begin with, right? So thank you for coming on. I know you've got a full day ahead because I know you're jumping on a plane. I do think we should do our next show in Italy with you, and maybe in the kitchen when you're cooking, which is really also what you're so good at and passionate about. But for me, from Ericka, we want to thank you for taking the time to come on Of the People. It has been great just to spend some time talking with you about Israel and the politics of it and anti-Semitism, and really the passion you bring to all of this is inspiring, to be honest.
Robert and Ericka, thank you for having me on. I look forward to being part of this event. And I'm going to just end by saying this. You always have a choice. You can lean into your faith, or you can lean into your fear. So everyone should lean more into their faith. They should find little ways to spread love and to spread kindness. And your voice matters. Even if you have one follower, use it. And don't forget to vote.
Well said. Melissa, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Amen.